Good morning, guys. Happy Monday, Memorial Day for some of us. Market's going to be closed. I want to give you guys a heads up on what I'm looking at today going into the remainder of the week. I want to start off by talking about the thesis that we had for USDT. Everything has been playing out thus so far the exact way that we were predicting, at least on the lower time frames, at least from a 4 hour to 8 hour. What we were anticipating that this move up to the upside was an impulse, and so therefore there's going to be retracement, which would create wave two. Wave two could fall flat, sharp, or how sharp it could be. Essentially, we've been checking out these levels, if you will, this 618 area, which is right around 4.6. We had a little bit more of a push down, which tapped into this green box right over here that you can see, which essentially was a fair value gap that we had discussed before. We marked it off with the orange dashed line, and we tapped right into it, and then we pulled right back up. Is there still more room to the downside that it could possibly go? Yes, we won't eliminate that completely, but how that has impacted ETH in the sense of today, or at least last night, going into the week opening, we can see that we've tapped back into this upper level of the 39.35s, 39.40s, and actually a little bit higher on some exchanges. It went all the way to 39.57. That being said, we're still retracing back under this 2.64 area, which essentially puts ETH on a wave 3 perspective, which ultimately means that there's going to be a retracement. So remember, as USDT goes up, ETH predominantly will go down. So if USDT is on its wave 2 and that's coming to a completion, then that means it's going to start working its way to wave 3. And that means that ETH is going to make its way down to wave 4. I have some targets for wave 4. I don't exactly have a time frame for it because I've seen spikes all the way down and then pull right back up. But just keeping it short and simple for you guys, I ultimately would like to see this level. Let's come over here, right over here, 33.57. I have a pattern, and I won't confuse you with that, but I have a pattern that sits somewhere in this area, and this is essentially where my wave B sits. So 33.57, I think, is a sweet spot. Again, it could take some time before that happens. If we can look at the trend and look at some other indicators, we can see from an RSI perspective, we are clearly in an overbought scenario where its nose is currently pointed down. There's lots of room where it could just come down and pull right back up, so that can create a lot of effery at the end of the day. Now, if we look at the trend perspective, we can see that the trend still has strength, but it's losing some momentum. So essentially, as ETH is running into this wall up here, up into this fib, because these red dashed lines over here was a sell side liquidity pool that it's tapped into the first time. Back on the 23rd, we've tapped right back into it and we traced back down. So essentially there's a wall that's over there. Coupled with that, this trend, this move up from a wave count perspective, it's in a super strong trend. So ultimately a correction would just make sense at the end of the day. It would be a healthy correction. Again, we don't know exactly how much time that's going to take in order for us to see that correction. We could see some effery going into the later parts of the week. Let's go back over to USDT real quick, just so we're on the same page. We can see again, we've tapped into these levels. The lower green band was the buy side liquidity pool, but what we're looking for in order to see large spikes like this right here, we want to tap right back into this sell side liquidity pool right over here. Now, if we compare the two, at least USDT and ETH, just so we can get perspective of what that looks like. We tapped into this level over here, which was right around 4.66%. And what that translated to for ETH was that spike down to roughly around 3,500. So if we're going to see the same type of momentum at the end of the day, we want to see a big spike up here into these levels, which ultimately would probably put us somewhere around lower 3,500 handles. Let's go over to wave 4. What I have for wave 4 for ETH sits right around 35.33. I think we ultimately get there no matter what. I believe that would be a minimum for us, but just depends on how much of that is bought up at that time. Remember, we have fundamentals such as ETF news. When we had that spike down, that dip was just gobbled up. So we don't know if that's going to happen a second time around. If it turns into liquidity in that area. 357 makes the most logical sense for us to tap into that and then proceed towards our all-time highs. Hopefully this information serves you guys well. I hope you guys have a beautiful start to your morning, and I'll catch you guys soon.